dissect girls. Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Why don't you make like a tree and get out of here?
The blackest dies.
Killing God.
Come on!
Make this pencil.
You're terminated, fucker.
Live or die, man.
Roads? Well, we're going, we don't need roads.
There can be only one.
Kill you all. Goonies never say die.
You don't need each other. As you can see, I'm not happy.
Are you not entertained?
This is friend.
Happy trails, Hans.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jeff, and welcome back to the Skewered Universe Podcast. Yeah, we've not done anything since August, and we're back. And I am joined by my co-host, Leiann. How are you doing, Leiann?
Suck a bag of dicks. I'm doing great.
What a way to start 2021.
I know.
First off, Happy New Year, everyone. We are not going to get political this year. We're going to steer away.
We could. We got a lot to say.
If you want news and political stuff, there are plenty other places to go. Not here. Shit's crazy. That's all I'm going to say.
It's everywhere. We don't need it here.
We don't need it here.
Yeah.
This is your chance to step away and listen to us bullshit for roughly an hour. With that being said, 2020 is done. It's over with. Dusted. In the books. The year of COVID. The year of BS.
What does that make 2021 the year of?
So
Because
far,
it's not starting out well.
so far, more of 2020 has just crossed over. Proving that the arbitrary changing of one year to another based on an old calendar doesn't mean shit. Things will get better this year.
Never is.
There's never a miracle at midnight, is there? Yeah, my plans for Nick Cage November kind of went out the window. Things just got a little crazy. We just kind of pushed things to the side for a while.
I think it's safe to say we can blame it on COVID, just because it's affected everyone at such a complete, full, big level that
the mental game was severely altered.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we weren't feeling up to it. We had plans. I had plans.
Don't we all have plans?
Do I look like a guy with a plan? I just do things.
You know, you can actually I don't know if you're familiar with the technology, Jeff, but you can actually insert clips of the movie, and you don't have to.
Just because I wanted to quote The Dark Knight in 2021, you can get off my ass.
He's looking at me like he's gonna kill me.
So, yeah,
JK.
No domestic violence.
We're not allowed to joke about that.
So we didn't record a show since August. Lots gone on with us. We'll just jump to October because nothing really happened in September. We got married.
Yeah.
We had our little virtual ceremony.
Yeah.
Thanks to COVID.
Yeah. Good times.
You know what? It was nice to do it. We feel better that we did it, and when things are somewhat normalized, we'll have family and friends over that we want to celebrate with us and do something. But we are officially married. These Skewered Universe hosts.
Oh, jeez.
Bound by honor and blood.
Half of everything you own is mine.
That is very true. And I will remember that till my dying day.
Only because you won't let me live down that I must honor you.
Yeah, part of the vows said honor, and I was making a joke for the next, almost month. Honor me! And then she goes, remember, half your stuff is mine, so if I leave, I take whatever I want, and that includes the PS4 and whatever else. I was like, okay, we're good.
Jokes, laugh, funny.
It's all in good fun, people. It's all in good fun. So October came and went. Halloween didn't really do anything.
No.
November with Thanksgiving came and went. You went and saw your mom.
Yep.
I basically did nothing, and I could have podcasted. I had ideas to podcast, and I let the time get away from me because I think I just wanted a slight mental break from everything. December came and went. Nothing for Christmas. Nothing really for New Year's. That's what we did. We really didn't do a whole lot.
Nope.
Except, and I was surprised that you actually wanted to go back and watch it, we watched both seasons of The Mandalorian on Disney+.
Okay, whatever. All right. Okay, you get that one. You get Deadpool. Okay, you've won some. Okay.
The funny thing is, I think you enjoyed it more than you thought you would.
Yes, I don't understand everyone's love for Mando, but... Not Mando, the main
child
character.
Oh, yes. The Mandalorian, the bounty hunter.
That's what I'm saying, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Din Djarin.
I don't
Mando.
get it. Everyone loves him.
Because he's kind of cool. And his armor's badass.
I don't like his face.
Whenever he takes his helmet off, she's like, ugh, his face.
I don't like it when their faces and their voices don't match up. It isn't right.
Yeah, we got through both seasons. I had already watched the first season. And I started the second one, and you were like, well, wait, who's that little guy? Talking about the child,
I was like,
Grogu.
God damn it. I did not want to like him.
So I said, do you want me to go back to the first season? And she's like, I don't know. Yeah, whatever. Okay. Yes. So we went back. And now, blasphemy. People are going to want to, string me up, burn me at the stake like I'm fucking Vanessa Ives and her fucking witch companion in Penny Dreadful, which we'll get to. I am not the biggest Star Wars fan, so I don't get offended when movies are made and they don't follow everything to a T, or, God forbid, there's a fucking woman in the fucking lead role. I thought the recent trilogy was fine. They're okay. Who cares? I really enjoyed The Mandalorian. Both seasons, really good. I'm kind of wondering where it's going to go for Season 3. They're saying there's going to be a Season 3. We finally got to see Grogu use some more of his Jedi powers. And yes, I'm calling him Grogu. He is not Baby Yoda. He's not Yoda. Yoda's a completely different character. Same species, different character. So all y'all going, but it's Baby Yoda, it's Baby Yoda. No, it's not. No, it's not. Yoda's already dead by this point. Dusted. He's a Force ghost at this point. Bye-bye.
Show up in dreams, I will. Guide you correctly for Force shit will I do.
I'm leaving it in. I don't care. I'll leave it in. But it was good. It's something I didn't know, because even though I looked at the cast listing, remember when they went back in Season 2, he was looking for the sharpshooter. There was that blue guy at the desk who kind of puffed out shit from his gills. Was really kind of nervous, kind of like, I'll just stay here with the car. It's kind of a weird fish looking. It was Horatio Sands from Saturday Night Live.
Oh, okay.
I had no idea. Then I heard another podcast talk about it. The Two Mics podcast, if anyone's curious, go find them. They were talking about it and were like, oh yeah, Horatio Sands. I'm like, what the fuck? So I looked it up. I'm like, oh shit. I had no idea. But very good. If you got Disney Plus, if you're a Star Wars fan, watch it. Even if you're not a Star Wars fan and you like serial, kind of old school, it's kind of like a Western serial, kind of. It kind of has that feel, but Western, it's in the Star Wars universe. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really good. Hold on, sip of whiskey.
Because you're a man.
Because just like 2020, 2021 is the year I'm going to drink. More.
Yeah.
Although I didn't drink that much in 2020.
I can't imagine I would smoke more weed in 2021 than I did in 2020. I smoked a lot of weed, I'm not going to lie.
It was crazy. It was crazy. I'm trying to think, what else did we watch in that time? We did The Mandalorian, both seasons of that, which, approved, go check them out. Oh, we did see the newest season of Big Mouth. Which was good. And it had the funniest moment of all the seasons with a dead bird that was bloated and had a squeaky butthole.
It was amazing. We rewound it and laughed so many times over and over.
The show gets more and more brilliant and then has these just ridiculous moments of stupid comedy like that, where Seth Rogen's character was showing the girl he was crushing on at their summer camp the bloated dead bird in the woods. Said, hey, if I poke its butthole, it'll make noise. And it squeaked, and we like
we
Leiann
died
said,
laughing.
We went back probably 8 times.
It's just this tiny little squeak.
I think this season hit even more. This season of Big Mouth, I should say, what is it, season 3 at this point? Season 4? Oh, it might be season 4. I think it's season 4. I think they hit a little harder issues. Because they had the transgender issues.
Yes.
Which I think they handled very well. It was, hey, this is who this person is. Treat them this way. And that character was like, I just want to be treated for who I am. This is who I am.
I like how they're handling Missy's character very, very well.
Oh, yes.
I got fired up.
Missy is finally finding herself. Which is cool, because you can see the inner conflict of the character. Mm-hmm. Which also leads into the recasting of the voice actress, but that's, that comes out of the Black Lives Matter movement last year and that. Her saying goodbye to her overalls.
Yeah.
Remember when you peed in me? So many good things.
Her dad saying things that bothered me. Her mom saying things that bothered me.
So many things.
Wow.
And in turn, Missy just clapping back at him, Dad, why don't you act more black?
And that upset me. I was like, oh, she did not. No.
But his response was perfect. He goes, well, I act like myself.
True.
Which is the perfect, I don't have to act how you say I should. It was really good. It hit on harder issues, the transgender, the black people having to act one way for this particular group of people and then act this way for another group, which shouldn't be the case. Just be who you are. But it was really good. And I'm trying to remember, were there any movies that we checked out?
Probably.
She's turning down F is for Family that we have playing in the background.
I hear her yelling, and I'm like, oh no! Volume down.
So if you heard that in the background, it was F is for Family on Netflix. It's probably, I don't know, it's one that we just go to put on in the background.
Yeah.
This is just a catch-up episode, people, so we're just kind of letting you know what's going on.
I have to clear my throat so bad.
Right ahead. I can clear that out in post.
Okay, I'm good.
We can clear that out in post, and I'll take this out, too. Yeah, there's...
Or we can leave it in. Who cares?
Shh. I think 2021 is a year that I'm really going to focus more on the podcast for you guys. Give you a little bit more. The transmissions episodes. Yes, I know, you give me that look like I'm not going to do it, but... What else have I got to do?
He's talking to me, not you guys.
Yeah, she's giving me the look like, yeah, that's what you said last year, the year before, when you first started. I think after kind of assessing everything that went down in 2020 with everyone being on lockdown, not able to go anywhere, you can't get together with anyone, I'm thinking, well, I'm going to be home. Why not record something? Content, to quote Leiann. She is all about content. Another sip of whiskey.
But I'm so into content in a way that's very mysterious.
Yeah, I never quite know what content's going to be with you.
Yeah. I've got stuff saved up that I could use randomly and just throw people off.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
We have a new logo in the works. Mm-hmm. My closest friend in the world, Eddie, is designing a new logo for the show, so that'll be coming this year. The transmissions episodes, which I started to touch on, which I was using for, if I'm watching a new show that maybe Leiann's not watching with me, or, I see a new release movie that I want to talk about. Still going to kind of touch there, but I think I'm going to transition it a little bit more to focus on something that I've really gotten heavily back into, which is goddamn motherfucking professional wrestling. And I ain't talking the WWE tired, bland bullshit. Some of you are going to get offended because you're hardcore fans. I grew up on the E. When it was WWF, I grew up on it. So I get it. But they've burned me one too many times. So my allegiance has gone to AEW. Now, I'm not saying I'm one of those tribalistic fans. I'll still check in with WWE to see what's going on. But my preference is AEW because it's fun and it's everything I want in fucking pro wrestling. And I keep tabs on New Japan and Ring of Honor and all this other stuff because why not? Now, speaking of pro wrestling, I do want to touch briefly on, we lost Brody Lee a few weeks ago, which was very sudden, very sad.
Yeah.
AEW did a hell of a tribute show to him. Mm-hmm. I laughed. I cried. I cried some more.
And the thing is, usually I'm the one that watches sad things over and over and over, and you were doing that. You were watching everything over and over.
I watched a few things a couple of times. Eddie Kingston had a really touching speech. I don't want to call it a promo. It was more of a speech that he gave, and just talking about how he wanted to thank Brody for believing in him when he didn't believe in himself, and telling his sons, -1 Brody Jr., or his Brody Lee Jr., kayfabe name, Brody Huber, and his other son, I believe, is Nolan. They call him Rhino, which is hilarious. Saying that your dad's never truly gone. As long as you remember what he taught you in his teachings, he's never truly gone. And I was like, damn near sobbing. Mm-hmm. But it was really touching. All the stories the guy shared about him. The one match that really got me, though, was Hangman Adam Page, Alex Reynolds, and John Silver of the Dark Order versus the Inner Circle of Santana, Ortiz, and MJF. Because there was so much emotion in that match, and Silver wore the matching gear that Brody got him, that they were going to do a Being the Elite skit on YouTube with, and it never came to. That match wrecked me. I lost it at the end when Silver lost it. It was a fitting tribute. Brody Lee is definitely going to be missed by the wrestling community. I've never seen the pro wrestling community come together with so much love and respect for a guy. And I'm hoping maybe this means we can stop all the fucking bullshit of tearing each other down over pro wrestling. Alright? Because we came together for this. Let's stay together. Alright? Fuck it. But anyway, yeah, transmissions. My love of pro wrestling. I'm going to talk more about that. Not so much stories, but what I'm liking, what's cool, and what is fucking bullshit.
Well, the thing is, it's the thing you're most passionate about.
Yeah, for some reason, something triggered me last year to just watch. And there was a stint there where I didn't watch for several weeks and I had 6 episodes of Dynamite. And I'm like, well, I know what I'm going to be doing soon. And I would just watch in bits or watch 1 or 2 episodes over the weekend when I was off from work and catch up. And I'm so ingrained in this pro wrestling. I follow pro wrestling pages on Facebook. I listen to pro wrestling podcasts. I can't seem to get enough of it.
Follow channels
on YouTube. When I look at my subscriptions, see if anything's new, 90% of what's in there is wrestling. So I'm going to be talking a lot more about that. We did start a new series, well, new to us, on Netflix. We were just watching it last night and didn't realize there were 3 seasons of it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Penny Dreadful.
Yeah.
Which I had heard about when it first started in 2014, knew nothing about it.
I had never heard of it.
We had gone to see friends of ours last year in the lull between spikes of COVID when it was safe to do so. Right after we got married on our little semi-honeymoon getaway. Mm-hmm. And they were telling us about it, and they were like, oh, it's got Dorian Gray, and it's got Frankenstein and his creature, and God, why am I blanking on whoever else is in it? I know we just
there's everybody in it. Everybody.
And they were just naming all these characters. I'm like, ooh, that sounds really good. And it turned out to be a lot better than I expected. Mm-hmm. And spoiler, if you haven't seen it, which I'm sure most people have because it went from 2014 to, I believe, 2016, I actually like Josh Hartnett's character of Ethan Chandler. Or should we say Ethan Lawrence Talbot, because he's a fucking wolf man. or werewolf, whichever you prefer, but he's more of a wolf man. Sort of like the old story that Lon Chaney Jr. portrayed in the Universal film, where he was named Lawrence Talbot. Oh, I love it. Nerd boner. Swing. That was my Wayne's World reference for the... I think the whiskey is getting to me.
Have another sip.
It's podcast fuel. It's podcast fuel. It's really well done. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it when I first heard about it, because it seemed like one of those Victorian era dramas where everyone is so stuffy. Like, some of those are just like, nope, I gave it 5 minutes, I'm out. This is very well done.
Well, I think what we're going to start doing, I haven't talked to you about it, but I mean, obviously it's working, is I'll start a new Netflix series on my own. Mm-hmm. And then I'll usually get, halfway through the second
season or so.
Yeah. And then I'm like, wow, Jeff, I'm kind of liking this. You might like it too. And then you start watching it, and then I watch you go through it. Because we did that with another series as well.
Yeah, which series was that?
Sweet Home.
Oh, yes. How could I forget Sweet Home?
You're welcome.
The South Korean monsters building siege movie.
Yeah.
Which was not to diverge from Penny Dreadful. Here's what I'll say about Penny Dreadful. It's fucking awesome.
Lots of sex.
Lots of sex.
Everybody has sex with everybody.
90% of the characters are great. Dorian Gray is a one-dimensional piece of shit, but I get why they did it by the time the end of the second season came around. But yeah, Sweet Home. Let's go there. Because holy shit.
That was I had gotten into
it's
it.
Called Sweet Home. I'm like, what is? You're like, well, it's like monsters and like, or you start off going, yeah, it's lots of suicide, and I'm like, hold on, before you go any further, is this going to be depressing? Because sometimes she'll be like, oh, I started this series, and it's
totally depressing.
Totally not what I would watch. It's like, oh, this guy found the love of his life, and then she got toe cancer and died, and then he found this rescue dog with 3 legs, and then it got cancer and died, and then he found a new best friend that he made while working,
But he was betrayed and then committed suicide.
Yeah, like this whole... It's like, oh, God, like depressing thing after depressing thing. Then she goes, well, there's monsters and lots of blood. I'm like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
Because I love monsters. And, oh boy, are there monsters in this. The gore is incredible. And I will say,
the bloody noses are crazy.
It's just like a waterfall. It's not just this little...
bonkers.
It's just this little trickle that you would see somebody get like, oh, I started too much coke, I got a nosebleed. No, it's like...
Gush.
All the blood in my head is leaving through my nose. And that's a sign that they are turning.
It looks so real, and it's
I'm still baffled what the effect is to do it, because it doesn't look like CG. It looks... Like somehow they did something to get it to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, not actually give the actors nosebleeds, but... I have to say, all of the characters, all the actors were spot on. There was not one where I'm like, oh, they're just phoning it in. I wasn't even annoyed with the child actors, because they were actually really good.
Oh, the child actors. That little boy.
Ripped
my heart out.
Pathetic face when he'd start crying. I'm like, oh. Like, they watched their dad fall from the building and die. Spoilers, it just came out. I'm not going to give too much stuff away. I want you to see it.
That's
it's pretty
kind
early
of in the
on,
beginning.
and it doesn't really...
No, it doesn't give anything away.
Yeah, it doesn't give anything away. Like, he just makes his face and starts crying. You're just like, oh. Like, you just want to grab him and hold him and console him. Like, it's okay, little South Korean boy. It's okay.
He's so precious. And he's a good actor, too.
He's really good. Like, some kids that age just... This kid was on point. Like, when he needed to get emotional and start to, like, tear up, you're like...
him.
Oh.
Yeah.
When he was happy, you were like, I'm so glad he's smiling and playing, because... Fuck, he was just crying in the last scene. Everyone was good. Like, even the main character, which, truth be told, I can't remember names right now. So we watched it a while ago. Mm-hmm. But even the main character, like, didn't bother me. Except his hair in the beginning before he cut it. I was like, that hair is fucking ridiculous. Please do something about it. But the gore, the story... And I like that it's not your typical, like, oh, people are infected and becoming monsters because of some government conspiracy.
They're turning into their desires, but
They're
as a monster.
giving into these, like, deep, dark desires and becoming monsters because of it. Mm-hmm. And the government's like, yo, we're just trying to keep a lid on it. We're trying to research it. Which you think maybe they're like, maybe try and use it for something, but we're not going to tell you because you don't get any closure on their end. The season ends and you're just like, where the fuck are we going now? And from what I read, there's no immediate plans for a season 2, and it's like, but you
so many questions.
You left so many questions.
Well, I even told you, as you know, before we started watching it, I looked at the description of the last episode, and I'm like, no, that can't be right, because that's going to leave so many questions. Like, they're not answering anything if this stuff is going on. God damn it.
I have to say, that's probably been my favorite series to binge. It's like, the effect. Okay, the nosebleeds are great. The overall gore is great.
I like the feel of it. The look and feel of it.
The feel of it is very... It gets very claustrophobic. Like, even though they're in this big building with its own little market and stuff, everything is so cramped. Because everyone is in just these few small areas. Nobody's in their apartments anymore in this apartment building. They've all kind of congregated in one area, whoever's left in this building. And that one little fucker who ran the market, the guy who thought he was so tough, beating up his wife, and then when somebody would call him out on it, he's like, would back down immediately. You know what? Kind of like Victor Frankenstein and Penny Dreadful. They're both very much the same kind of character. I'm tough to a woman. Oh, a man's confronting me? I'm going to back down and tuck my tail between my legs for a second. If you haven't seen Sweet Home, I would recommend watching it.
But only if you appreciate gore. If you don't appreciate gore, it's going to be tough to watch.
That, and I will say, if you're someone that cannot watch a English subtitled film where the original language track is still there, so I don't believe there's an option to watch it with an English dub, which I would prefer to watch the subtitled version anyway with the original Korean language track because I think it's better. You're probably not going to watch it, but if you're a horror person, let's put it this way, if you're the type of person like me who watched Train to Busan and was like, this is fucking amazing, you're going to love Sweet Home.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you're going to find characters that you really like, such as the badass guy who went after that one dude, who was more of a monster than the monsters. That guy.
I love that guy.
Like
the gangster, air quotes.
He's just so, like, calm the entire time, but he's like, if I need
to murder someone, I'm going to murder them.
I like that it turned out, and it's not a huge spoiler, that he's not really a gangster. He's just someone that ended up getting hired to do something.
He has a backstory.
But that guy is just like, fuck. And then once the guy's like, you don't know how to use that gun, do you? He goes, I don't need to. And just turns it around and cracks him right across the head. I'm like... Because they zoom in, the guy notices he had the safety on, and he goes, you don't know how to use that, do you? And he just goes, nope. Turns it around and just swings it right in across the guy's head. And I was like, he didn't need to know how to use it because he just did that. Mm-hmm. He was your melee, as you called it. He said he's the melee weapon guy. You had the firefighter chick who was ex-military or ex-special ops or whatever, who was your ranged weapon. She was good with guns.
I forgot I had mentioned that.
Yeah, so basically we were like classifying the characters in sort of D&D terms.
But then there was also the character with the dog. So if anyone has seen the show Disjointed, there's a character named Sabine Dortmunder.
Oh yeah,
and I swear there's the Korean version of her in this movie.
So it was really bad because there were a few times where it would get quiet, there's no dialogue, and you'd just be like, shut up. Like that character in Disjointed. But yeah, she looks exactly... I forgot. I was like, what character had a dog?
And it's funny
like,
because
she had her little
you're
chihuahua.
being serious when you say that we would be watching something where they're in complete silence, and you would just go...
Because they zoom in on her, and she just had this look on her face, and you're like, maybe it's...
Totally serious moment, and you're ruining
serious. And I'm like, I can't... It's how I deal. It's how I cope. It's a coping mechanism, people. It's how I deal with tragedy. The monsters, though. Mm-hmm. The one with the super long tongue. Mm-hmm. That one's revealed pretty early on. Mm-hmm. And yeah, some of it is CG, but the practical effects they used on that tongue and on... so good. There's a few others that are puppets throughout the thing that are just... so goddamn good. Mm-hmm. So good. It's just when you think things can't go any crazier, it's like, hold my beer. High recommendation to watch Sweet Home. I mean, if you're a horror fan, if you're a gore fan, if you can handle watching a foreign language film with English subtitles, and you have Netflix, seek it out. I think it needs more attention because it's really well done. There wasn't a moment where I'm like, oh, well, that looks dumb, or oh, I don't really care for that. Everything was like, what the fuck is going to happen
and
now?
It's fast-paced, so if you like...
Quick.
Just, if they're on it, if you turn away for 5 minutes, you might miss something.
Yeah. Because there was that one night we were sitting here, I think it ended up being like close to 2 a.m, and you're like, you're falling asleep. I'm like, okay. So we had to back up the episode the next day so I could catch up on what I missed. And it wasn't much. It was maybe 20 minutes, but so much happened. Mm-hmm. Like, there are a very few slow sequences, but they're slow for a reason.
Yeah.
Because it's like, hey, everyone living here needs to catch their breath. You watching, we're just going to calm down for a second. We have a moment of levity, little humor, and now we're right back to it. It's like, fuck. It was so good. So good. And now back to Penny Dreadful. Oh, the ABC After School Special. I don't know why I did that. I think it's the whiskey talking. Because I felt like it was a weird transition. She's looking at me like I've lost my mind. Which,
yes, I am.
If you've been listening for a while, you know that's already a thing. Well, that glass of whiskey is dusted. Penny Dreadful. The characters I want to talk a little bit about. So we have Ethan Chandler, or Ethan Talbot, played by Josh Hartnett. And I'm not going to get all the actors right, because I don't know a lot of them, because a lot of them are British actors that I don't really know. I really like his character. He's not my favorite. My favorite was Sembene, or Sembeni, who sacrificed himself towards the end of season 2. I don't know, would we really call him a servant of Sir Malcolm?
I'm sure they had an agreement.
They had more of a contract, because he goes, oh, he saved your life and now you owe him, and somebody said, I think Chandler said that to him, and he goes, or maybe I saved his life and I'm here to watch over him now. I'm like, oh, I never thought about that side of the coin, but he was so, he just looked like, more of this bullshit happening, alright, let's go. But he was so cool, such a badass.
Yeah.
And then just like, you said, don't allow you, when you change into a werewolf, to hurt anyone. So I'll stand here between you and that door. I was like, oh man, I don't want to see him die.
But I also like the fact that he was locked in that little space for a reason, to be unleashed at the right moment.
Yeah, because the daughter of the main witch, who was trying to get Vanessa to, go and bone the devil and all that kind of shit, she was like, I'm gonna kill you so I can take over. There was so many like sub layers to this show. Like, here's your main plot, and then here's all the other little things that are happening. So kind of like Sweet Home, if you looked away for a few minutes, you might miss something. The witch characters were cool. They were kind of fucked up with all the scars. Like, hey, you don't have genitals, and we scarred your nipples and everything else on your body, and you're bald and have weird eyes. Like, ugh, it's creepy. When they were hiding, like, Invisible Man style against the walls and the witches were cool. The witch I really liked was the one that Vanessa went and saw in the little cabin out in the middle of nowhere. She was cool, but she was like, look, I don't take no shit from nobody. You can come here, I'll show you things, but my way or you get the fuck out. And then kind of warmed up to her. But when they burned her and she didn't even make a sound when that asshole trying to get the land came back and was like, oh, we're going to burn you, witch, because you do this and you kill babies, even though she's a cut wife. For anyone that doesn't know, I'm spoiling this because I don't care. It's been out for a few years. Spoilers. She's a cut wife, an abortionist, essentially. So these rich assholes would send their daughters to her, like, cut the baby out, and then go, oh, but you're horrible for what you do. Like, asshole, you're worse for sending your daughter there and going, it's okay, just go there and get the baby cut out and go about your life. You can keep doing whatever you want. We'll just keep having her cut the babies out. Which I'm sure is what they were doing, because I'm sure they were repeat customers. Mm-hmm. Because she didn't seem like, she goes, they send them to me and then they condemn me for what I do. Like, very, very poignant for current modern times.
Yeah.
That goes on, but I just like that her character was like, no nonsense, don't take no shit. Like, I've lived a long life, I've seen some shit, so I just stay here, do what I want, I don't deal with anyone's bullshit, I keep to myself. Dude, I didn't want to see her die, and then they covered her in tar and burned her. I'm like, but she didn't make a fucking sound. She just kind of went, ugh. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, that's badass. She's like, fine. Yeah. This is my fate. I accept it. You're assholes. You're pieces of shit. What am I going to do? I'm old. I can't fight. Like, ooh, fuck. Dorian Gray is a douche. A one-dimensional douchebag. Mm-hmm. If you don't know the story of Dorian Gray, he sold his soul. He chartered a painting. And his soul was sold so he could be youthful forever, and all his sins and the aging would reflect in the portrait of him. And he's a fucking douchebag with no growth whatsoever. There was a tiny bit that I saw, but then it was all thrown away. They were like, oh, there's a little bit, and they went, nope. Because for a second I thought, oh, they're broadening his character when he... I'm doing air quotes here, fell in love with Angelique, the whore that he encountered, who was... Transgender. She, yeah. Transgender. Mm-hmm. We saw that when she took off her dress and she still had her male equipment. We're like, oh, okay. They were hot and heavy and passionate and he was doing this. I'm like, okay, maybe there's more. And then
he was flirting with so-and-so, and then he would have a thing with the other so-and-so, and then it's like, oh, okay,
yeah,
he doesn't give a shit at all.
And then when Angelique found out his secret, he was like, oh, you've seen my secret. She found his painting, because apparently he didn't close the vault all the way, and there was a draft that blew some of the candles out, and she was like, oh, what's that? It's coming from here. Oh, there's the passageway. And then he killed her. And not in a cool way. He poisoned her like a little bitch. It's like
a woman.
You found my secret. And you called it. Mm-hmm. You're like, oh, he probably poisoned her.
Well, because you said, oh, he even got her a glass of champagne or whatever.
Oh, he brought them some wine to have while they look at his picture.
I was like, no.
Poisoned it. And he didn't take a drink, even though he can't die. Angelique drinks it and looks at him like, you son of a bitch. But I will say, the painting, how grotesque and hideous it was.
And I kind of called that, too.
Yeah.
I was like, he is ugly on the inside, and that's probably what's reflecting. And sure enough, when we get to look at it...
It was this changed... Wow. Hello, Maker's Mark, for stunting my speech. But you know what? Fuck it. It's the first show of 2021, people. This is what's happening right now. This is what we do. I just lost my train of thought. Oh. The image of Dorian Gray, the painting. Just this creature hunched over and chained, heavily chained, big shackles, and just grotesque and scarred and
old
gray
and
powder
gray
and old,
yeah.
and you can see it move and more scars show up. You're like, ugh. Mm-hmm. You're more of a monster than the monsters, such as Frankenstein's creature and the Irish whore he resurrected. Which we'll get to that. Brona. We'll get to Brona / Lily / queen of the resurrected dead army? I don't know. Because her character goes from here, like, you're like, oh shit. Sir Malcolm. Kind of a dick.
Kind of
a dick. Put his ego
selfish.
His ego and his reputation above the family, which I think is what led to him taking his son and having him die in Africa, which is, you think it's a small part, and then it turns out to be something weighing heavily on him by the end of season 2. You're like, oh. So you do carry the weight of that burden, you just don't like to show it because you're like, oh, I'm Sir Malcolm. Played by Timothy Dalton perfectly. Mm-hmm. But there were certain times where I kept going, this is Simon Skinner-like from Hot Fuzz. I don't like it because this is a serious show. Like when he dismissed the death of his wife. It was like, oh, well, I'll have to change the carpet then. I'm like, okay. The character's cool, but he's not one of my favorites. I'm like, do without him. Talk about your favorite character.
I haven't thought about my favorite character. Do I have a favorite character?
Mr. Lyle.
Oh yeah, I like him.
The one guy kind of playing both sides.
He's kind of being forced to, if you think about it.
Yeah, he really is. You can see that he cares for this group of people brought together to fight the evil, and is just forced to do the bidding of the evil witch and her daughters / sister. Whatever kind of incestuous fucking thing was going on with those witches. I don't fucking know. But yeah, he's forced to work for them, but he kind of cares about this group. He's a great character.
He's just so cute. Like, he's kind of got the chubby cheeks, and he's got his hair, like, kind of dyed or bleached. And so it's like two different tones of yellowish
every
orange.
time. It's never a hair out of place.
Exactly.
His beard perfectly styled.
He has some very distinct mannerisms. He's all about, stuff.
Very high society.
Yes.
Very classy.
Yes.
But a hint of femininity. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh. And in the very beginning, he's talking about, oh, my wife. Mm-hmm. Oh, she's probably over by the gin. I'm like, there's no wife. We never see the wife. So I'm convinced there's really no wife.
Oh.
Excuse me. I think.
Okay.
Because we never see an interaction between him and said wife.
I think she just isn't important. Because when he was upset when he was talking about her being upset.
Very true. She doesn't really factor into the story at all. So she could definitely be there and just be his beard. Because there's a scene towards the end of season 2 where one of the witches is holding him against a wall, choking him, and he pulls out his dainty little derringer that he was given by Ethan before they lay siege to this castle to try and save Sir Malcolm and Vanessa. And he shoots her and he says something like, never underestimate a queen. And I was like, yes! Yes! I was like, I love that line because he was like, you think I'm just this weak little piece of shit doing your bidding? No, not anymore. I'm done. He's always dressed perfectly. His hair, his beard.
I like hearing him talk, too.
I like that before they were going, he goes down to pray, and you see him put on his yarmulke, and he gets out his scarf and takes out the Torah, because he's Jewish, but he can't say anything, because around this time I was like, oh. And I was like, oh, okay. But I did like, he confided in Frankenstein, he goes, you'll make no mention that I belong to that tribe. And Frankenstein was like, oh, of course not, I would never say anything. Like, okay, that's your one redeeming quality, Frankenstein, that you're willing to keep somebody's fucking secret. Because other than that, let's jump to him. He's nothing but an egotistical, thinks he's God fucking dope fiend. Okay, because we find out this fucker's shooting up morphine. Can't find another vein in his arm, so he's shooting it through his fingers. When we first meet him, he's resurrecting what I thought was his first creature, we're so led to believe, who picks out the name Proteus, and he's such this sympathetic character. This guy has these big, sad eyes, and you feel for this Proteus character. You're like, oh, this is going to be the sympathetic character throughout. Nope. Because a few episodes in, the first creature returns, the firstborn of Frankenstein, who takes the name John Clare. Just fucking rips the guy in half. I felt bad because I liked Proteus. He was just this really sad, like he had this childlike face, like kind of like the kid in Sweet Home. He had that kind of look, like, and like the childlike wonder, like, oh, the fairy lights, when he's discovering things again for the first time.
And when he's discovering things for the second time, and he's starting to realize that he had a past.
When he starts, like, naming the ships, thinking of his wife, you're like, oh, you really feel, and then, nope. They're standing there in Frankenstein's lab. 2 hands through Proteus's chest, splits him in 2. And here comes the first creature. The shunned and abandoned creature of Frankenstein from the first go-round. Which I said, he's not the monster in this story. He's not the monster everyone makes him out to be. Frankenstein's more of a monster. Dr. Frankenstein. The people at the waxworks are more monsters than he is. He's more human than the majority of the people in this story. Which is really crazy when you think about it, because he's not supposed to be, but yet he is. Which fucking blew my mind when I had that realization. Ethan's somewhat love interest, I guess, in the beginning, Brona.
Mm-hmm. It's not a somewhat love interest. They tell each other, I love you. Or no, he says, I love you. The
Irish whore who has... Oh, what did they...
Consumption?
Yes, consumption. I was thinking conception, and I'm like, that's not it.
Hopefully not.
I'm telling you right now, this is going to be the best podcast ever because whiskey makes everything better. Consumption, or tuberculosis. Same thing Doc Holliday had. So we know her character is not long for this world. She's going to die.
But we do like her character.
Her character is very, very matter-of-fact.
But charming.
Yeah. I liked that version of her character. And then when she dies, and as Frankenstein is told by his creature, you'll make me a wife. I need to be happy. You will make me a wife so I can know love. It's like, well, that's not how it works, buddy. But I don't think he fully understands how the world works completely still. He's just hell-bent on making Frankenstein pay for, 1, bringing him into the world again, and 2, abandoning him like he's some piece of shit. It's like, oh, I made you, but you're ugly. You have scars on your face. I'm gonna shoot up more morphine and get the fuck out of here. Oh, I'm so... no. I'm a doctor. So Broda dies and is essentially resurrected.
She didn't die. She was murdered.
Well, yeah, murdered at the hands of Dr. Frankenstein. Mm-hmm. Victor, that piece of shit. And then tells Ethan when he comes back, oh, it was quick and painless. I'm like,
I'll take care of the body.
I'll take care of the body. Like, and immediately I'm like, we know where this is going. But we had the creepy moment of him molesting the dead body in his creepy copper resurrection tank full of water.
Yeah, because he was having a thing with her. Turns out he had a thing with her.
Yeah.
And she adored him. Yeah. His cousin.
For a moment, we find out. For a brief moment.
Mm-hmm. We haven't finished it yet. So, I'm interested.
No, we have a full 3rd season, which I didn't know was there.
I'm really interested to see where her character goes.
Yeah, because we kind of went through some of the episodes coming up, and she has a legion of women.
A legion of women!
Oh, shit, what's happening?
Because it's getting to the point where she's clearly, like, using men. Mm-hmm. She had a life of forced prostitution because of society, basically.
Yeah, because she had no other choice. She's
now she's going to get a revenge, and I'm really excited.
What I like is it seems those memories have somewhat come back. Like, I think she remembers most of what was going on, and she's like, the moment, because early on Frankenstein's going, oh, well, you have to wear a corset, you have to wear these high heels because you need to be presentable when you're out. Basically telling her, I'm the man, you'll wear this because that's how it goes. And she had that whole speech. She was like, oh, you make us wear your corsets and your high shoes because you want us to be docile and content and you to control us, or we get the back of your hand. She's like, no more. She's like, I planned that game. I'm like, oh, shit. All right. Then essentially she tells Frankenstein's creature, the firstborn, John Clare, oh, I'll love you, but we're going to rule the world together. After she berates him, calls him ugly, tell him he's like a lowly piece of shit.
It kind of reminds me of, really, Leiann?
Throw stuff out, maybe I can help you.
Vampires. She's the vampire queen, played by Aaliyah.
Queen of the Damned.
Yes, where basically her significant other is beneath her.
Right.
And is basically there to help her with her bidding.
Like, I'll be nice to you, but you're my subservient.
Like, we're gonna rule the world, in quotes,
yeah,
together. And it's like, that's the kind of vibe I'm getting with
because
Lily.
Lily demeaned John Clare so bad that's like, oh, well, I'll love you.
Reeling him in, keeping him as a little pet in her pocket.
And then kind of does the same thing with Dorian
I'm not
Gray.
going to say kind of. I'm just going to say we haven't gotten there yet. Because I'm really enjoying how that got left off.
Yeah, because we don't really know. They just are there together dancing.
Well,
it's like,
the way I see it, if she has a legion of women, and she's talking about how much she hates men, and how much men do this, and do this, and do this, and that description says she has a legion of women, guess what? Dorian Gray is just another head by her side.
Oh my god. I just had this flash. She's leading a cult. He's the recruiter for her cult. Think of it that way.
A recruiter?
He'll get the women because he's charming.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And they don't turn him down. He's, men and women alike.
All he has to do is stare at them, stand close to them, and breathe at them.
I'm Dorian Gray. And they're like, fuck me. He's like, I guess. I'm so bored with it.
I can't stand it anyway.
Going back, there was that scene in the first season where he was at his home with all his paintings on the walls. Mm-hmm. And there's that orgy going on, and people are drinking and getting high and fucking, and he's just sitting there, like, bored out of his mind with everything. Like, another orgy. So many penises and vaginas around me. I'm bored with it all. I'm like, okay. But when you find out he's lived for centuries, it's like, well, I guess you would be bored at this point. And overall, it's good. I don't like that character. I don't like the Victor Frankenstein character, and I think you're meant to not like him. It's not because I'm like, oh, the actor's not good. The acting is solid across the board. I just don't like the character of Frankenstein because he's just such a little weaselly piece of shit.
He doesn't like to take responsibility. Mm-mm. And he likes to make reckless decisions. And
it's a god complex.
Yeah.
It really is a god complex. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, he's a dope fiend. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, his character is very much, I play God. I've solved death. I don't need to take responsibility because I can play God. Oh shit, I'm dope sick. I need another hit. Which we saw. Where he started throwing up when his first creature comes back and is confronting him, and he's and vomiting and just weak and like shaking. Mm-hmm. And you called it out. You're like, that's because he's dope sick. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh yeah. The vampires we see in season 1, they're pretty cool. Pretty different. The main vampire creatures just great. Slightly different, kind of Nosferatu-like, but not really.
Yeah.
I like the throw-ins of Sir Malcolm's daughter, Mina, who was engaged to Jonathan Harker, who are two characters from Bram Stoker's novel, Dracula. Which I was like, okay, alright, that's pretty cool. All the little touches they do here and there. I wish we had more of the theater actor that took Frankenstein's first creature in, because he was such a
good guy.
Like, really cared for the guy, really wanted him. He's like
he accepted him for who he was.
Exactly. He's like, look, I don't care. I know you're a good person deep down, so I can give you a place to live. You can work here, and we're good. It was just really cared for. Just had a big heart. Cared. And then when things went down and Frankenstein's creature, or as the theater called him, Caliban, kind of misinterpreted some signals from, but I think she kind of let him on.
He's not social.
He doesn't understand social cues.
And she's being a fucking bitch and leading him on. But whatever.
Yeah. So he ended up getting fired. The guy goes, look, if I could, I'd can her and keep you. But, the people want their ingenue, saying, like, look, if I got rid of her, I'd have to deal with a backlash of people. I'd much rather have you here, and I'm sorry to do this. I'm like, that is the only person that gave a shit about him, aside from Vanessa, that we see later. Mm-hmm. There were only 2 characters that cared about the creature. That was Vanessa and the theater owner. Which, when I told you, I didn't realize the theater owner was from The Mummy Returns. He was the right-hand man to the resurrected, oh my god, what was her name? Imhotep was the mummy. Anox on the Moon. You're sitting there letting me spin. You're letting me spin because you knew it. It was her right-hand man that I had no idea. Mr. Hafez, I think, was his name. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh shit. Alright, okay. It's like, I like that alone because you're like, hey, we can get that guy from The Mummy Returns. Kind of the same time frame. Overall, though, it's been really good. Those first 2 seasons, I'm excited to see where season 3 goes, since now they're shipping Ethan back to the States. Oh, so we didn't mention, he's the only American in the cast. And
he's been to California to the Pacific.
Yes, the New Mexico territory, all the way from California as far as the Pacific, which ain't that fucking far, but I guess back then, it was a lot of distance to travel. To go from this point in California all the way to that there Pacific Ocean, that great big blue piece of water out there. I don't know why I'm talking like that.
I don't know.
I'll say this, we've spoiled some things, but go watch it. If you haven't seen it, look, you'll enjoy the ride getting to these places. It's good. I like that they took certain episodes, though, and were like, this one is just focused on this character. Like, one showing what happened to Vanessa. I'm like, okay, that answers a lot of questions. And then from there, they're like, you got the 1 episode, you don't need any more, moving on. Mm-hmm. Like, I like that. And they just move through the beats, like, here's her relationship as a kid with this family. Here's her relationship with Mina, who's her best friend, when they're older. Here's what happened here. Here's why she is how she is, possessed, wanting to be, taken by the devil. Boom, episode over. Let's go on. I'm excited to get to season 3 at some point. I don't think there's anything else, really. We haven't really got into anything else, have we?
No, I don't think so.
I'm trying to think back and see. I should have done more preparation, but this is kind of an off-the-cuff catch-up state of what's going on, and...
We've basically just been paying attention to those 2 shows.
Yeah, that's pretty much been it. Sweet Home and Penny Dreadful. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think if there were any movies that we've watched, and I don't think there have been, really. Mm-mm. I've watched a couple of the Friday the 13th movies out of my box set, but I've seen those so many times. You guys have heard podcasts on those so many times, I don't need to really cover them to an extent. I'll do something with them down the line. Like, here's some of my favorite installments in the series, and blah, blah, blah. Here's why I think Jason is fucking cool, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not going to go, here's an intellectual breakdown of the first installment of the Friday the 13th series starting in 1980 with the first one, Friday the 13th, where the killer isn't actually Jason, but his mother Pamela, blah, 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 blah. That's not this podcast. We're not intellectuals. Oh yeah,
speak for yourself.
Okay, you're an intellectual. I'm just here to speak into a microphone and
you're the pretty face.
I'm the pretty face. You're the brains. You're the brains. I'm the beauty. Yes. I don't know what that was.
I don't know, but that wasn't a pretty face. That's for sure.
Moving forward, we're going to cover more movies. Sort of, I think, a lot in the style that we started to do towards the end of 2020 there.
Those are my favorites.
Those are fun to do.
My attention span is very limited. So when we get to pause and then come back, I'm able to be better.
Now, I have a question for you, because there's a movie that recently got brought back to my memory that I saw years ago that was recommended to me by my friend Chris Sanchez, who, listeners of the show, if you remember, he was on for my Marvel retrospective. It's a Steve Martin movie. Now, are you a fan of Steve Martin?
He's a Scorpio, so yes.
There is a movie called Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid.
Okay.
think of it as like a comedy crime noir movie.
Okay.
But they use bits of old movies, so he's interacting with like Humphrey Bogart and these old characters to create this ridiculous narrative of this crime story.
Oh, that sounds fun.
And I think it's one that we could watch. I found it on Vudu, but it's only available to purchase for $14.99. The only way I could see it back in the day, when Chris first told me about it, was to get the disc from Netflix, the DVD, and watch it. And I'm like, I don't feel like upping my subscription to Netflix to get discs. So I'm going to keep a lookout and see if we can find it anywhere else. Maybe there's a cheap DVD on Amazon I can pick up. But I think that's one I want to cover with you on the show.
Okay.
So we'll do that. And Nick Cage November 2021 will fucking happen.
Will it?
It will.
Mark your words.
I will guarantee right now on January 10th, 2021 that this year, Nick Cage November 2021 will happen. Even if it means I only get to cover history of swear words on Netflix that he's fucking doing like a fucking genius that he is, Nick Cage November will happen. And we'll do other theme months that we put together, because we'll brainstorm and possibly.
It's already mid-January.
Yeah, I know. It's the 10th, and we're doing the first show of 2021. So much for that New Year's show right on the 1st or the 2nd. I delay.
Was that a plan?
No.
Oh.
Do I look like a guy who has a real plan when I do this? No. I never planned anything. But 2021, I'll plan more. Already planned Nick Cage November. So now we just have February through October. I had to stop and think what month comes before November.
A lot.
Whiskey brain. Yes, there are a lot, but I mean the specific month directly before November, which is October. All right. So that's where we stand. We're getting a new logo. We're not going to cover anything political. It's movies. It's TV shows. It's fun shit.
Wrestling.
Transmissions about wrestling. Transmissions about movies that I've watched that maybe Leiann has no interest in. TV shows that she has no interest in. Whatever else the fuck I want to talk about, that's where we stand. Skewered Universe 2021. Hashtag make podcasting ridiculous again. I don't know. I really don't know. But with all that being said, this has been an episode brought to you by whiskey.
Suck a dick.
I always have the worst timing.
I'm trying to compose myself to do the last bit here, and I can't. Anyway, that's it here from us at the Skewered Universe. Have a good 2021. Make it the best.
Suck as many dicks as possible.
Yeah. Have fun with them. Be kind to those dicks as well. And keep enjoying that universe that's just a bit fucking skewered.
Check out Skewered Universe Podcast at the following links: skeweredhead.com, facebook.com/groups/Skewered Universe Podcast, skewerduniverse.podbean.com, Twitter @SkeweredU, Instagram, Skewered_Universe. Email the show at skewereduniversepodcast@gmail.com.